In today's episode, I sit down with Shelly Corbett, a photographer, storyteller, and, in her words, someone who sells joy. At Beats Working, we talk a lot about the tension between what we're supposed to do and what brings us to life. Shelly shares how her path wasn't linear, how it moved through burnout, reinvention, and ultimately into something that looks playful on the surface, but runs much deeper underneath. When creativity is more than about making something, it can be about discovering who you are in the process. It's a conversation about play and generosity, about what happens when you stop taking yourself so seriously and start taking your joy seriously instead.
Welcome to Beats Working, Winning the Game of Work, hosted by Dan T. Rogers. This show invites you into conversations that go deeper than job titles and hustle. It's about rethinking what work is for and how we can design it to serve our lives, rather than the other way around. Here, we'll talk with leaders, makers, and thinkers who are doing more than earning a paycheck. They're getting paid to practice life.
Shelly, thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Dan. It's really a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, me too. So it would be, and I say this seriously, I think it would be a much, much better world if more people knew who you were. And I'm hoping that a few more will know who you are after this. But for folks that don't know who you are, can you give us a little bit of introduction about who you are, where you come from, and what you do for what I guess most people would call work, but I'm thinking that we might end up calling it something else by the time we're done.
Yeah, okay, so my name is Shelly Corbett, and I live in Seattle. I am a Northwest native. I've been here for a very long time. I am a full-time artist. Traditionally, photography is my medium. I'm a storyteller. I make art around toys right now, and I encourage other people to play through my creativity, coaching, and my workshops, teaching people how to tell their stories through play, through toys, and helping them connect back to their inner child, as well as create my own art and sell it at local shows, art shows in the area, which is also reminds people to be a child, to get back to what makes them happy. So the short answer, I'm a photographer who sells joy.
Awesome. I'm not sure. I frequently will try to find nice things to say about people or to people, but I generally try not to lie or overhype stuff. But that is maybe the best answer I've ever got to that question. And I'm not sure which answer I like better. I really like the long one until you gave me the short one. So I feel bad for the next guest that has to handle that question because you just set the bar really high. That is fantastic. So we are recording in audio and video, and I think there's a little bit of everything for everybody. So we'll make sure that there's links and all that stuff in the show notes and all that. But because I have one handy, here's a little piece that Shelly did for us to give you an idea. And I think if you look at some of the links that we supply, you'll see that I think toys and joy is absolutely center of the bullseye on that. So definitely want to get into all of that for sure. But to the extent that you want to, can you share with maybe how you uncovered that to be a full-time artist is a massive accomplishment, right? There's so many folks that maybe at least say they would want to, they can't get there, right, for one reason or another. So maybe take us back before you got to that, and how did you sort of uncover for yourself that you wanted to do that, and then maybe ultimately how you got into photography?
So I got into photography back in college, and it was an accident. And I was at the University of Washington. I got an MFA in photography. I met my husband, and we have always been artists. And I fell into the role of shadow artist in our marriage and did my own work, which at the time was underwater nudes. Don't ask how I jumped from there to toys, but there was a lot of similarity
Yeah.
in the work and how I approached it. So with the underwater work, it's discovering, using photography and art and creativity to discover who I am, what it means to be a woman, what is femininity, what's sexuality, and then connections with the models. Then I hit my 40s and had a second kid, hit a wall, midlife crisis, tried to destroy my life. And then through that process, I did video work at our local radio station, KXP, for 6 years. Got back. I found my joy again. That was what really, I felt like an empty vessel. And the music sort of brought all of that back. And then I got gifted some Lego minifigures. When they had first came out with what they called the collectible minifigure sets. They released 3 a year. That combined with my getting reacquainted with photography, and Instagram was coming out on the scene, and I took a really bad photo with my phone and loaded it up on Instagram, connected with this very small toy photography community. It's worldwide. And that was the end. Of just I got sucked in. They're just the most delightful, supportive, caring people that I have met through that experience. And so taking my photography experience, I helped to nurture that community, help people who are just discovering cameras and toys and putting them together, learning how to be better photographers through just a whole variety of different venues, from sharing communities on Instagram to blogging. And I've been blogging now for 12 years, sharing my creative journey. And by writing about the creative journey, I learned who I am. And now I'm divorced, I'm on my own, and I'm doing this full time of just toys, sharing, helping people discover who they are through their own journey of rediscovering their childhoods through toys that they love. Complicated, I know.
Maybe a little bit, but I actually, first of all, I'm glad that you describe yourself as a storyteller, because that there was a lot there, but it was, a lot there in a good way, but in a life rich way. But I was definitely able to track through it. So it was a rich journey. I didn't think it was complicated in terms of, hard to follow. So I do want to put in a plug just in case, because it's incredibly disappointing to me as a person that's into Lego that some people don't know what a minifig is. So if you're listening to this, you didn't see the picture that I just held up. A minifig is like the little Lego people.
So Lego has two different kinds of little people, and one of them is the minifigs, and one of them is the mini dolls. And the minifigs are in the more traditional sets that when you think of the block and little blocky little figures, and they are technically 4 bricks tall. So, or what we like to say is 1/48th scale is what they're at. Because and when you get into toys, there's lots of different scales from 1/4 down to 1/64th, and 1/64th is like what you would think of when you think about train models. And so I work with people who are across the entire range. It's crazy what's out there. And highly addictive. So we tell people to be very careful about how they choose the toys they want to work in. It's I affectionately refer to Lego as plastic crack, because once you start, it's really hard to stop.
Yeah. So the only thing that I heard you say that actually it wasn't, I just maybe want to explore, there's plenty I want to explore, but one I want to go back to. So you fell into photography, but you did end up majoring in it. So was there how did you fall into it then?
When I started,
right, but just to make sure.
It's like when you start at university, you kind of have this idea of where you're going to go. And when I started at the U, I was going to go into journalism, and that was just turned out not my thing. And then went into the art department because art's always been a part of my life, drawing, painting, all those kind of things. And I was going to be a graphic designer because that was kind of at the beginning in the 80s when you went to the university. It was to get it was the pressure of leaving school with a somehow how to make money. And at that time, nobody thought you could make money at art unless you were doing something like graphic design or something very tangible, advertising. So it was the program. I did not get into it. And they said, well, come back, do it next year, try to get through in the process again. And in the meantime, why don't you do photography, learn that, because that's a huge part of advertising and this aspect of design. So I took a summer course, fell in love, and because I was paying for the whole process myself, I wasn't beholden to anybody to like mom and dad saying, you need to. I'm like, screw it. I'm going to get a degree in photography. Why not? So I did. And I never looked back, had a great time.
Yeah. No, and I can see the sort of the creative and creation of story is sort of the thread through all of that, right? So yeah, that's great. So and I think it's also funny too, because I imagine you're saying like the bad photograph that you took and first posted on Instagram is probably a great photograph for the rest of us. So I think it's interesting how you sort of critique maybe what a good versus a bad photograph is. But yeah. So when that first started, and now you're in the middle of that community, and I love how you told the story. And I think this is what people forget, that in order to be in community, Shelly gives us a great demonstration where we actually give first. We contribute to the community first. And we may or may not ever pull anything other than satisfaction or just acceptance or belonging, right? We might not get any, which all those, by the way, are really cool and more than enough. But it wasn't surprising to hear in your story about how you're pouring in first, right?
I think it's really important to be generous with your skills, your gifts, whatever you want to share into the world. It's through that generosity. The more I give, I'm going to get double back. Yeah. So if someone comes to me and says, I want to learn how you do what you do, I'm like, fine, I'll lay it out. Here, do A, B, C, and D, and I will lay out all 100 steps to get from here to there. No problem. I will tell everybody anything they need to know to get where they want to go. I don't have any reservations about, oh my God, if I reveal secrets, someone's going to come in and take my role, whatever that is. I'm like, hey, if you're better at it, teach me. I mean, it's through the generosity that I learn, and then I get better.
Yeah. There's a couple things I want to sort of touch on there. So one, I agree with you completely. I mean, I think everyone should do themselves, and like, so if you want to keep stuff under lock and key or IP and patents and all that other stuff, like I get it. But for a lot of us, if we share generously, all we're going to do is make a friend of somebody that we were never going to work with in the first place. And I don't mean a lifelong friend, but we'll leave that interaction or set of interactions with goodwill towards each other and an open door, as opposed to like, I was a salesperson at one point many, many years ago, and the person hiring the company was telling me, you're giving away the gold. And I'm like, it's worthless to me if they're not going to work with us. I just assume, create some value for them. And worst case scenario is if they tell the truth, they'll say nice things about us. You know what I mean? They're not going to be our customers anyway, right? Somebody that wants to do that isn't going to be your customer. Like, they're going to be, and competition is hilarious. I mean, if Pepsi and Coke, if there's enough room for Pepsi and Coke, there's enough room for who's ever listened to this podcast for 10 more of you. Like, it's a silly scarcity idea that like we can't, that we have to worry about competition and all that stuff. So, yeah.
So sales is a huge part of being an
Yeah.
artist and a creative.
Yes.
I mean, it's just like, that's,
Yeah.
you got to be able to do both. So you and I could go on for that for hours, but it's by being authentic, by being yourself, offering up what you have to give, you're only going to attract people who are like-minded, who are going to either you're going to work well with them or you're going to exchange ideas, whatever it's going to be. You're only going to attract people, the best people to you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a little bit of our story. So in 2007, we realized, well, I realized mostly, but there was other people involved. So I say we had just let too many people onto the team. And I don't mean employees. We kept the employees. I meant customers. We had way too many customers and way too many different types of customers. And so we actually politely fired 70% of our customers because we just got more focused on what we were doing. And it was a long time ago. We were fortunate that there's some other really great things that happened. But at the time, it was like maybe the single greatest thing we ever did was that we decided what we were going to be. And we're actually giving pretty good service to all those people. It was just very difficult for the team to pull it off because they couldn't see the consistency of what the offering was. And I think so often, whether they're artists or business people or even just people on social media, that we're also obsessed with chasing more instead of chasing closer to. You helped us with, I think, closer to right. That's like I don't want more. I want closer to right. not more. I don't need any more. Please, no more. Just closer to right. Like what's the right relationship with this person? Not what's the more relationship with this person, right? So.
That is how I approach my mailing list. Is I try to be authentic as possible, and if I can, actually piss people off so that they will get off my mailing list, because I don't want people on there who are not engaged.
Yeah.
Because it costs me money. I'm I don't need you. If you're just here just to be on a list, go. I just go. Yeah.
So, you talked about teaching, and I want to be really, really clear. Massive love in my heart and profound respect for teachers and teaching in general. But a pseudo mentor of mine, a virtual mentor, I never got to meet him, but a person that tried to study a lot of what he put out to the world, is the guy that I borrowed this from. He used to say that the single largest blocking to learning was the teacher, and he was an educator himself. He wasn't taking a shot. He was just saying that at the end of the day, like the teacher is the block. The student needs to learn, right? But he would also say that if you wanted to learn something, the best way to do it was to teach it. So when you were talking about when you first started doing the teaching and the blogging and all that, you learned a lot about yourself. I'm guessing you also probably learned a lot about your art. What are some of the things that you learned maybe about yourself and about your art as you were teaching? Because I think a lot of folks that haven't tried to do that before would think, oh, well, this is just an out activity and there isn't any in, but you obviously described it as a two-way interaction. So anything that you want to share that speaks to you on that?
I got dragged into the teaching. I did not wake up one day and go, I'm going to be a teacher.
Yeah.
No, I don't see myself as a teacher. I've never dreamt about being a teacher. It's never been on my list of things to do. The pandemic happened, right? And it was just so funny because when that happened, everyone pivoted to online workshops. I did not. We were 80% through the shutdown before I finally got off my butt and offered up a workshop. And I have learned so much from that process in terms of overcoming my own personal sense of I can't, I'm not enough, and how to present information, how to create a safe place for sharing, because being a creative and sharing work that's meaningful to you is a vulnerable activity. So learning how to protect that space for people, to give them what they need, and learning that whatever I have to offer is enough for these people. I don't have to be more. I don't have to more. Don't have to be that. This is just enough. So that, for the personal growth, has been amazing in terms of understanding who I am and what I have to offer. And then as a photographer, yeah, absolutely, having to sit down and work out what is a story, or how to do cinematic lighting, or what is composition, and then regurgitate to that and support people as they're on that. Oh yeah, my work is like totally flourished.
Yeah.
I look at now when I'm like at my booth and I'm putting up all my work, I look around and go, wow, you've gotten a lot better in the last 5 years. I mean, I see that myself. So yeah, so teaching or sharing, facilitating, however you want to walk back that word into something that's not so like didactic at the front of the room going, you should, is a way to absolutely learn who you are, what your values are, what you have to offer, helps with self-esteem, and then you can automatically get better at your craft because you have to.
Yeah. Yeah. So what, if you were going to speak to maybe something that you maybe uncovered, either, and it's all in process, right? But like maybe you uncovered a flaw in your work or an area for improvement because you were teaching, or what was something that you uncovered where you're like, I had no idea how good I was at something until you sort of had to package it for somebody else. Any sort of insights on your own work through that?
Well, great. Well, we all have these stories that we tell ourselves about what we can and cannot do. I can't do that. It's like, there's no, I mean, like, so for me, that was, my love is outdoor photography, taking the toys out and the juxtaposition of the hard plastic against the natural environment. And macro photography. That's what I gravitate towards. So there's toy photography goes down two very specific lanes, and one is the outdoor. I nailed that, got that down, love it. And then the other one is studio photography, which is much more, it's a very different mindset. You have to be more intentional. You have to have a vision. You have to, your lighting, you control every aspect of it. So it's not so much just fly by seat of your pants. Oh, let's just see what I can get out here, right? And I was like, I can't do that. I can't do that. That's not my thing. I'm never gonna be able to do that. And so I had to sit down and learn it. And then I'm like, oh, hey, this isn't that bad. I can do this. That was just a story. I told myself that I could not do this. But in fact, it was just a story, and yeah, I can do it just fine, and I'm actually pretty good at it. And like all the photos I did for you, those were all.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I haven't memorized them all, but I'm pretty sure that was all studio work.
Yeah, that was
what you just threw down.
Right. So, and it was so much fun to do that. On a side note, was a lot of the parts of those photos that are the office-y aspects of it, like the little chairs and the little computers and everything. That was a set I picked up that was all Severance. So which I thought was just delightfully subversive.
Yeah, some serious irony there. Yeah, wow. We just went down a major rabbit hole somewhere. I'm not sure what, it's like a Simpsons episode or something. I'm not sure. Yeah.
But it's just, it's too fun to put those little Easter eggs or those little layers that are underneath the photos that maybe I know, maybe you know, other people are not going to know it, but it's taking, that's what's so fun with toys.
Yeah. So when, and I apologize, we're a little out of sequence, but so obviously you had all the background in photography and all that, and you were looking to find your joy. Was there other things that you explored before you got into toys, or did you just know it was toys that you wanted to,
So the photography has always been the through line of the creativity, and also learning who I am and figuring out what I can do. So the underwater work was a collaborative when it shouldn't have been, and when that burned out and I hit the midlife crisis, I took all the creativity and just put it away for 4 to 5 years, and it took a while to have that spark come back because I was so burned out. But I went down the road of beading, a lot of handwork. I made jewelry for a few years. I took some classes at our local art adult learning center called Pratt, which I don't know if you're familiar with that. So did a bunch of classes there and had to remind myself and relearn that, yes, I can work with my hands and I'm very good at that. So and then the toys came in and the video work came in, and then I started to learn to love creativity again. And the toys, there's just something delightfully silly about them. And there's a lot of toys on the market that one can go. There's action figures, there's dolls, there's Barbie, there's Nendoroid. I mean, there's like the HO scale. I mean, there's lots of different fandoms out there. I have stuck with Lego, the minifig, very specifically because it does not take itself seriously. And it's that joy and whimsy and silliness that I love, because I feel like the people who go down the action figure route, while there is a lot of joy and subterfuge and silliness involved with it, sometimes it just takes itself too seriously. And
I
don't want to do that.
That's a great observation on your point. It's funny because I like Lego more than the other stuff. You know what I mean? Like I'm not sure I'm a full blown like fandom member of any of them, but if I have one, it's probably Lego. And I didn't have the words to articulate it. I love all of Star Wars, the Rings. Like I can geek out on all of it, except I don't want to take it that seriously. You know, like I love it. I'm also not trying to throw shade at it. You know what I mean? Like but at the end of the day, it's a damn toy. Like it's not. You know what I mean? It's not real life. It can be. I mean, I have a.
Oh, I love.
I mean, like I'm in it.
Yes. You know?
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I'm in it. Like I'm not. But I don't want to have to take it seriously. I don't want to, so thank you for helping me on that. And I think that definitely comes through in Lego for sure. And I think it comes through, there was something about your work when it was first shared with me that I was just like, I think it was, they were talking about something else when they said, well, I don't know it when I see, I don't know what it is. I just know it when I see it. But there was something, and there is a seriousness to your work because it's clearly put together, but there is that your personality and you're like, we're still not being serious here. Yeah.
I take my play seriously. I mean, I really do. I mean, I take some of the workshops I teach like on Inside Out, which is really helping people have emotional intelligence, and then there's one on archetypes where we're really looking at our not only storytelling through the lens of archetypes, but your personal life of where you are in your own hero's journey and archetypes. I mean, we can take a deep dive into this stuff, but it's also like at the end of the day, it's a toy, and it should bring you joy. And whatever you're creating, if you're not having fun with it, then I have not done my job.
Yeah. Well, I have a saying, and I apologize because at the end of the day, you can take the guy out of shipping, but you can't take shipping out of the guy. So it has to be the single most important thing that just doesn't fucking matter. Like, I mean, that's like that's sort of the balance I'm trying to, because if you hold it any more tight than that, you just crush it. You know what I mean? So it's like, and that's the line I was trying to dance with your work. I mean, you can't pull off, at least with the studio stuff. Like, there's just no way that there isn't a massive amount of intentionality and seriousness to it. But the image itself isn't taking itself seriously. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I was trying to say, I think.
Oh, absolutely. The joke is as a toy photographer, that you have succeeded in your image is if you look through your viewfinder and you make yourself laugh, then that's the image. I mean, that's the goal.
Yeah. How fantastic is that? And so when we first asked you to be on the show, the message that got back to me was why, or you were a little confused as to why we want you on the show. If that last answer doesn't clearly illustrate why we want you on the show, that's a really great metric. If you're looking for metrics for if you're doing, figure out what's the moment that you're like, if it doesn't make you laugh or if it doesn't warm your heart or whatever, insert the right emotion that you want to evoke on a regular basis. Well, yeah, no, it's available. It's available. And it's great to hear. Like I would have never pulled those details ever, but you describing that makes complete sense to me based on a little bit of our conversation before, as well as while we've been recording and seeing your work. Like that makes, I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, I would have never been able to predict that's what you're doing, but that sounds exactly like, I mean, that looks exactly like what's happening.
I had so much fun working on that project and just thinking about those ideas deeply and going, okay, I mean, I do my research and like, okay, how does a business person approach that? And then how would I approach that? And then how do those ideas reflect what my values are in the world? And then what toys are going to, reflect that in a way that was getting to this idea of all the ideas that were expressed. It was just so much fun. My favorite one was procrastination. That one that still makes me smile when I see that one.
Yeah, no, they're great. They're really great. So with the seminars, is it I mean, I'm guessing it's a mix of people, some who are more artistically motivated per se, and maybe others that are more sort of personally and intrinsically motivated in terms of self-discovery, or is it, I mean, it sounds like it's a very rich experience on both sides of that. What's sort of the experience that you're seeing people go through with that?
For my workshops?
Yep.
They're small groups of no more than 6. We meet for 2 hours every 2 weeks, and the people who are attracted to them are generally older who didn't have a chance to play, and it's an opportunity to play and tell stories and find joy and get better at their photography.
And so, what are some of the byproducts that come out of that when people share it to you that you don't know their details, but you're not surprised by what they're telling you? Does that make sense?
In terms of like the feedback they're giving me about what they're
experiencing, yeah.
What
they're uncovering for themselves.
I've had a couple people say they found their joy. They lost it because of a loss in their life, and they found their way back to what makes them happy. I've had 3 people get up and literally just move because they discovered that what they really wanted was not available to them where they were at. And so they were finally, you know how you have this I will do? They just went and finally did it. And they're all much happier. Getting notes from people I've worked with who say, thank you so much for helping me make that image that is so incredibly personal and inspiring to me. Thank you for giving me the tools to make work that's meaningful to me. An example of that was, so everyone at the beginning of the year, you can do a New Year's resolution, right? And we all know that after 90 days, they go by the wayside. But there's this other aspect that you can approach it with, which is a little bit different, which is choose a word that will guide your year. And last year, my year was possibilities. And it was a delightful year of all sorts of crazy possibilities that I never could have imagined appeared. And this year, my word is trust. I'm just going to trust I'm in the right place. I'm where I need to be. Whatever what's going on out here is whatever's happening, I got to trust. So I sent that. So I have everybody's in my workshops. They're also invited once a month to just a clubhouse where we just meet and share. And they have an additional challenge. And the challenge was choose a word for your year and make an image.
Wow.
And that was amazing. The images that they made were just like absolutely like, and I said, okay, now that you've made these images, go print them, stick it up on your refrigerator. One person made a notebook where she's, so that she's writing all of her ideas and journals and journaling through the year in this book, but it has the image that she made. And it's just like, it's just using creativity to reinforce personal stories, personal growth, finding out who you are, what do you want in life, and be intentional in the creative act, not just go, oh, I'm going to take a picture, a snapshot. I'm going to take a picture that's meaningful in some fashion.
Yeah. Well, that's a great stories and great examples of what people are getting out of the workshops. And I think it was before we started recording, I mentioned, our the word core values and sort of the what it evokes in me. And I don't know if it's just my age or what it is, but I just have these sort of preset notions about, like, I'm a very spiritual person, wide open on that. And the boss sort of does whatever the boss wants. I refer to the spirit as the boss, but I still have these sort of presets that when I hear some of this stuff, my first reaction is just like, it just sounds hokey, even though many people would probably think I'm a really woo-woo person on many levels. But I have been in workshops or seminars with less woo-woo people, usually very professional crowds. And anytime we've been asked to create something, it's amazing what happens. It is like there's something that happens on that it in the best sense of the word, it breaks almost everybody. Like, it takes a really cynical, jaded person not to make it through that exercise. I mean, there's just been times like, you have to show it or whatever, and you see some of these things, you're just like, oh my gosh, like, and it's, I don't know what that is, but I feel like there's something about when we allow ourselves to create or when we allow ourselves to learn, and if we're doing those two things at the same time, I'm not surprised when stuff gets fairly magical, because it's just, in both of those environments, I've seen just stuff where I'm like, yeah, I don't know what's happening, but something is happening here. Yeah.
We all have the answers to our lives inside of us. They're there. It's all right there. It's just under layers and layers of expectations and assumptions of how we're supposed to be and the stories that we tell ourselves. It's all there. And this gets to me your story just reminded me immediately of, like, one of my soapboxes is the fact that we took art out of schools. And we just eliminated the ability for people to learn how to write their feelings out, or learn that they're really actually good with their hands in some fashion. And it's just all that ability to express yourself. And then when they get into these situations that are more traditional work environments, and they're this rare opportunity to express themselves, and then everyone's like, wow, it's like as if it's magical, when that's who we are. It's how we have always been, all the way back to the cave paintings, because that's a story on the wall, right?
Yeah. No, Boss loves and I'm a general fan of progress and technology. I don't want to be living 200 years ago. I don't think it's perfect by any far stretch, but I think we've so outsourced our lives that we don't really do much of anything anymore, and I'm not surprised that many of us are so unfulfilled, because we don't actually create or make anything, and then very few of us are actually learning, because we don't really have to learn anymore. Like, you can just punch it into ChatGPT, or So like I said, so I think it's not surprising to me that you've got an environment there where folks have the ability or the opportunity, to create and learn, and it's a magical place. And I'm with you. I think that's why we're here, and we're seeking comfort over over purpose, But anyways, I'll get off my soapbox now. But yeah, no, I think, as we mentioned before, we thought we were probably pretty closely aligned on some of this stuff, and I think it's bearing out.
Absolutely, yeah. Creativity is the greatest joy, and that how we express ourselves is how we know ourselves.
Well, and I had this experience myself, and I'm not sure these are the exact right words, but they're close enough. So I don't have a lot of artistic ability, or traditional artistic ability to draw or do stuff like that. And I had so associated the word creative with that talent that I didn't give myself any credit for that, despite the fact that my entire life is a roller coaster of creativity, right? And so it was amazing to me when I sort of allowed myself to sort of just disconnect those two and say, hey, maybe you do or do not have artistic ability. We'll figure that out later. But you're definitely creative. And it was just, it made everything just a heck of a lot easier. I would end up being creative anyways. It was just, I got a lot more, the process got faster when I allowed myself to do that. And I don't know that that's terribly unique. I think most of us probably have it. I think it's maybe not every last person, but like, I think it's probably a pretty widespread. It seems like it would be good for survival, maybe.
Well, it's a survival and resilience and creativity, but somewhere along the way, and I don't know who did this or why, but they coupled creativity with art and capital A art, and I was like,
totally better way of saying it.
What the heck, man? We're all creative. We all. And then I just wanted to point you out that you said you're not creative because you associated it with drawing and painting and that. And it's like, I told myself a story about how I couldn't do indoor lighting, and like you just told yourself a story that you're not.
100%.
And I'm like, we don't know because you haven't tried. And we don't allow ourselves to have the beginner's mindset of going, I'm just going to go do this because I like it. I'm going to go do this. I don't have to be good at it. I'm going to do it because it's fun. And that's enough. That is enough.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I have a single favorite thing that you said. I have like the last favorite thing that you said. But you mentioned it sort of before, and that's why you mentioned it different. So we're big on good enough, GOOD space ENUF. Like, it's just good enough. Like let it go. And you've used enough much in that same reference. And I think we're frequently so much more kind to other people, even people that we don't particularly like. Like, oh, that's good. But then we put the standard on ourselves. That's just like, what are you doing? Like, what are we doing here? Like, I wouldn't hold my enemy. I don't really have any, but I wouldn't hold people that I don't much care for to that standard. But yet I'm going to hold myself to that standard. It's pretty silly what we do to ourselves.
I couldn't agree more. It's so silly that we hold ourselves up to a standard that we would never hold anybody else up to in a million years.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know we're getting short on time. There'll be plenty of links and information in the notes. But if somebody wanted to get a hold of you or they wanted to learn more about you, how would you encourage them to do so?
My website, shellycorbett.com. It's kind of a place to start. I'm also on Instagram if you just want to see what the photos look like. And then those are the basis for the artwork, which is a little bit different. And I'm not even going to try to explain to you what I do, but come see me at a show. And if you have any questions, you reach out. I will tell you everything anybody wants to know about any of this stuff.
Awesome. Well, Shelly, thank you so much for your time today. It was an amazing conversation, and I'm just so glad we got a chance to connect.
I am too, Dan. It's been a ton of fun. It's been a long road to get us to here, but well worth it.
Thanks for listening to Beats Working, Winning the Game of Work. If something resonated, share the episode and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, clarity isn't something you find. It's something you practice. And getting paid to practice life beats working to get paid.